Welcome to the Dragon Podcast, where horror history comes back from the grave. Today's episode is all about the return of the living dead, one of the most unique and rebellious zombie franchises ever made. A series that mixed punk rock, black comedy, and buckets of gore with one of the most terrifying ideas ever put on film. Zombies that can't be killed, not even with a bullet to the brain. We'll dive into the strange history of how the franchise began, trace its wild sequels, and finally, bring you into the present day, where an official new film, Trash's Revenge, is set to revive the series with original cast members and a brand new Return of the Living Dead universe. So grab your Walkman, crank up some The Cramps or TSOL, and let's dig up the dirt on the dead. The story of Return of the Living Dead begins with Night of the Living Dead in 1968. George A. Romero's black and white masterpiece defined the modern zombie. Slow, shambling corpses that crave human flesh. But behind the scenes, the rights to that first film were tangled. The co-writer, John Russo, retained the right to use the words living dead. That meant two parallel zombie universes could exist. Romero went on to make Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead. Meanwhile, Russo began working on a project that would become The Return of the Living Dead. It was meant to be a straight sequel at first, but when director Dan O'Bannon came on board in the early 1980s, everything changed. Dan O'Bannon, who had co-written Alien, wanted something fresh. He kept Russo's title, but rewrote the script into a horror comedy with punk attitude. Released in 1985, The Return of the Living Dead was unlike any zombie film before it. The setup: two warehouse workers accidentally unleash a military gas called trioxin. It seeps into the ground, reanimating corpses in a nearby cemetery. What follows is chaos. Zombies that talk, that beg for brains, and that cannot be killed. You shoot them, chop them up, burn them. It just makes things worse. And then there was Linnea Quigley as Trash, the punk rocker who delivers one of horror's most infamous moments. Her graveyard striptease, bathed in neon light just before the dead rise. It's outrageous, it's campy, and it cemented the movie's cult status. The soundtrack was just as important, featuring The Cramps, The Damned, TSOL, and Roky Erickson. It gave the film a raw, underground energy that set it apart from Romero's grim realism. At its heart, Return was both hilarious and horrifying. Zombies moan for brines in a way that became pop culture canon, yet the ending, with the military nuking the town, was brutally bleak. The message was clear: you can't win against these zombies. The success of Return naturally led to sequels. Return of the Living Dead, Part 2, 1988, leaned heavily into comedy, almost like a horror cartoon. It even recast James Karen and Tom Matthews in new roles, playing off their chemistry from the first movie. While fun, it didn't carry the same edge and was aimed more at younger audiences. Return of the Living Dead 3, 1993, directed by Brian Yuzna, swung the opposite way: darker, tragic, and surprisingly romantic. It told the story of a young couple, with the girlfriend slowly turning into a zombie after being exposed to trioxin. The imagery, body modification, and self-mutilation used to fight off hunger resonated with 90s goth and industrial culture. Parts 4 and 5, made in the 2000s, shifted production overseas and lost much of the original's bite. They were low-budget sci-fi style projects, and while they carry the name, most fans don't see them as true successors. Still, the heart of the franchise, that first punk-fueled, outrageous 1985 film, has never stopped beating. Fans trade quotes, rewatch the soundtrack-fueled chaos, and keep asking, will we ever get a real return to Return? Unlike Romero's more serious Dead films, The Return of the Living Dead carved out its own space. It was about rebellion, counterculture, and horror with a wink. Trash, Suicide, Spider, and the rest of that punk crew weren't just zombie fodder. They felt like real misfits from the underground scene. The film became a touchstone for fans of horror and punk alike. And then, of course, there's the pop culture impact. The idea of zombies moaning brains came directly from Return. Every parody, every Halloween gag zombie saying that line owes it to O'Bannon's movie. Over time, the franchise has become one of the most requested cult revivals. And now, the dead are rising again. Dragon Studios is proud to announce Trash's Revenge, the official continuation of the Return of the Living Dead universe. Yes, Linnea Quigley is back as Trash. Decades after that graveyard scene cemented her as a horror icon, she returns to carry the torch and lead this next chapter. But she's not alone. Other original cast members are joining, and for fans, it's a dream reunion. The story of Trash's Revenge will expand the universe in bold new directions, honoring the anarchic spirit of the original while bringing it into today's world. Expect biting social commentary, a return to practical gore effects, and yes, zombies that still hunger for brains. Even more exciting, this isn't just one movie. Trash's Revenge is designed to be the launchpad for a new Return of the Living Dead universe. Films, companion media, even games like Assault on Oneida, giving fans more ways than ever to experience this punk rock apocalypse. And the best part? Fans themselves are part of this revival through crowdfunding on Cinebacker.com. Just like the punk scene that inspired the original, this is DIY horror by the fans, for the fans. From its split origins with Romero, to its punk rock rebellion in 1985, to its strange and wild sequels, The Return of the Living Dead has always been the scrappy outsider of zombie cinema. And now, with Trash's Revenge, the franchise isn't just coming back, it's rising from the grave with a vengeance. Because when you mess with trioxin, the dead don't stay down. And when you've got Trash leading the charge, you know the party's just getting started. Stay tuned for more updates here on the Dragon Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our mailing list through Cinebacker.com so you won't miss a single scream. Because this time, the dead aren't just back. They're here to stay.